Hello, I'm filmmaker Archie Wright,
Hello, and I'm ball painter Tim Baker.
where tradition turns into stories and stories turn into laughter. Stay tuned because
This is the Shrovetide Podcast Season 2.
They all play hard, they all play well, but there's always stories to be told. That is why I have the great honor to say, Archie Wright and Tim Baker, are you ready for the stories? Who will the guest be today? When the ball is robbed in red, white and blue, and the Englishman tries his best, the players get stories, which is why we are here. Archie Wright and Tim Baker. Who is the guest today?
So George, can you tell us what your earliest memory of shrovetide was?
Well, it's a funny thing that, Arch, because I spoke to my mum this morning and I says, how old was I when I first come to shrovetide? Well, you was 2. Paul was 4, and I thought, well, I can't remember that. And I said, can you remember what year it was? And she said, well, it was in the early 70s. Well, I was born in 69, so that would have been 71. So then the only thing, but I can't remember whether it was 74ish or mid-70s when Blue Peter came.
Yeah, that's right.
And I can't remember whether...
Was it when Steve Buck was 84 when the two lads came?
I think it was, yeah. So that was probably the earliest memory of shrovetide. So like the early 70s.
So if you cast your mind back, George, to those days, watching the game before you started playing yourself, what sort of players of note did you used to watch in the water or in the hug and stuff? Who stuck out to you in those days?
To be honest, in those days there was some really good players like there is today. But you know, like when we was kids and you used to watch Harry's dad, and John Tomlinson's dad, Philip, you know, and I knew John Mansfield, you know, I knew him sort of after shrovetide sort of thing, after his days, because we had a lot to do with him. In fact, I did take my ball up to him and show him when I goaled my ball, and he looked at me up and down and he says, how on earth have you managed to goal that? Because obviously in his day it was a lot different to what it was in our day. So yeah, there was loads of good players from both sides, you know, big players, and you know, you sort of think you're going to go and play shrovetide, but you turn up and you might get your feet wet in the river and walk back out again, and you know, think you've played but you've not played, if you know what I mean.
So can you tell us a story of how you goaled your ball?
Yeah, so what happened was, it broke across the wreck, and Gareth Webster, very good downer runner, strong, and he set off running off up the recreation ground with it, and I was chasing him, and to be fair, he was, you know, 20-30 yards in front, and he headed off towards, as we call, Gasby's Gate, that goes up onto Green Road. And Terry Brown come from nowhere and just come past us and took Gareth out on the Green Road. And then by the time we got the ball off Gareth, upwards came, a few downwards, and then we marched it then at a fast pace really up Green Road onto Paper House Lane. And then there was a hug halfway down, well, not halfway down, before the cattle grid near Mr. Mather's house. And I ran further down the lane and jumped over the gate, and Mick Wright was there, and we stood there, and then next minute Simon Ellaby come running down the field, flat out shouting Mick and George, and just lobbed the ball straight over the edge, and Philip Dawson picked it up, and Phil, you know, was a fantastic short distance runner, and he went off down the lane. He was going like mad, and Trav says to us, you know, that's the last you've seen of Phil, he's gone. Mick turned around to me and says, come on, get yourself going, and I said, bloody hell Mick, I'm running as fast as I can, and we kept going. And then Squirt Chal was stood by the entrance into Paper House's, you know, house, and Phil ran up to him, chucked the ball up in the air over his head, ran round him, caught it again, which was funny, and went about 10 yards and then fell to the floor. He absolutely blew out. And then another man picked it up. He was at Beresford from up the park. Can't think of his first name. Mick would know. And he set off, and then he started running off down the fields. Well, in them days the trees weren't there, you know, it was just fields. So Mick sort of said to me, right, come on, you know, come on, get after him. We were going, and then Mick was talking to him, because obviously Mick's knowledge of the fields up there was just unbelievable. And he told him to go right a bit, go left a bit, and he looked at me, and then obviously there was a big edge and a ditch on the other side. And then Mick says to the man, he says, right, he says, when you get to this edge, chuck it as hard as you can. So he chucked it over the edge. I just jumped over, got over first, scooped the ball up, and set off running towards Sturston, and with Mick alongside me. And then earlier on there was a little bit of a dummy run, so there was a lot of people at the goal and coming back from the goal. And then there was a few downers that come towards us, and me and Mick, we never spoke to each other. He went to the right, I went to the left. As soon as someone come to take me out, I threw it to him. And then as soon as they went to Mick and took Mick out, he threw it to me, and we did that, and we worked his way. And I went to the gateway in the last field, and then bang, I got taken out. And there was a bit of a battle in the last field, not by many. And then there was a lad who is no longer with us, White. Jonathan White. Yeah. And he picked the ball up and he started going towards the goal, and I thought, flipping out, you know, this is not going to end well here. So I sort of picked a bit up and I took it off him, which was probably a bit naughty, but I took the ball off him.
It happens though, doesn't it?
It happens. And Mick and Simon Spencer was alongside me, and you know, they was both brilliant, and got me into the goal, pushed me into the post, goaled it. And then Harry was doing a video in then, and he hadn't got the camera turned on, and he says, "Yo, goal it again." So anyway, I goaled it again, and we was there, you know, in a hug like, and then obviously all the uppers was coming in then, and Martin Ellaby looked at me and he says, "Algie's here." Well, Algie was a fantastic player without a ball, and obviously he deserved the ball a lot more than me. And I looked at him and said, I've just goaled it. So that was that, you know, and so that's how I managed to goal the ball.
So, you know, how old were you, George, when you started taking part? I know you've been a formidable runner over the years. Can you tell us a little about how old you were and how you got into the running side of it?
Well, what it was, obviously with being farming and everything and whatever, you've always kept yourself working hard, keeping yourself pretty fit. But it started, I was working for Tim Brown, and me and Alan worked together. And I mean, Alan Brown was probably, he's well in my top 10 of hardest working people I've ever come across. And me and Al, after work, we used to go for a run, and then we was, you know, we used to go for a run 2 or 3 times a week, so on and so on. And then we got to Shrovetide, and we was very, very lucky in having our first taste of a run with the ball. Sean Breeze come flying out of the flats, chucked us the ball. We was going up the side of the fish pond, and then Alan and my wife's Deb's auntie and uncle was stood in the garden, and she had to come through here, so we turned around and went through their house, and they locked the door behind us, and God bless him, Beardsley, you know, he stopped us going up the lane, so that was the first taste of the run. And then we got sort of invited or asked to go and run with the upper, you know, with the lads like Rob Godfrey, Mick Wright, and everybody, you know. And I mean, for me, it was a massive honour to be going running with such, you know, legends of runners. And Andrew Lehman, you know, he was there. And then, unfortunately, at that time I smoked, so I could never keep up with, you know, the fast boys. So I used to plod round and managed to finish the race, finish the run and what have you. And I thought, right, I'll kick my head into gear now, and I chucked the smoking up and started training hard, because Andrew Lehman, you know, he was like, to me, he was the father of the upwards.
Right.
So, you know, whatever we did, whatever training you did, you know, every shrovetide you turned up to, you were trying to be as best as you possibly could, because you didn't want to let them down. You know, him and Steve Bott was the two big players when I, you know, when I started, and obviously the respect of the older ones, and the respect of Andrew and Steve, and even this year walking down the lane with Andrew, you know, he was so chuffed of the younger generation for doing what they've done. And to be fair, in my eyes, that's all come through Andrew. You know, it's been phenomenal what he's done for the lads and the game, and we all look up to him, you know, fantastic man.
Yeah, that's lovely, isn't it?
So, can I ask, Shrovetide is just, it's been and gone now, how is
literally
your
days away.
Yeah, literally. How was your Shrovetide this year?
Yeah, it was alright, Arch. Obviously, you're getting older, and you can't do what you used to do. But the thing is, I think with a lot of, on the upward side, you know, the older players, you can sort of still read the game and put yourself in a position where you might not do a lot, but you're there, and you know, and it helps. And all of these lads that are coming through, you know, for the upwards and for the downers, you know what I mean, is just immense. There are, you know, I mean, I know there's been a lot of good players in the past, but these present players, you know, they're phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, they're men of a rare breed, aren't they?
Yeah, they, you know, them lads who play in the hug all day and in the water. I mean, obviously we don't play in the water as much nowadays, but I mean, crap.
Can I ask, why do you think that is? Because when I was a kid, and I'm sure it was the same for you with similar age, that it was always in the river, wasn't it, for hours?
Yeah.
And now it hardly goes. I think it had about, apart from not counting the spells at the goal, I think it had about 5 minutes on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of a dip on King Edward Street.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's not played in the water as much as it used to be?
I don't know whether, you know, do both sides. I know the uppers play to score goals, and do they think that playing in the river you've got less chance of scoring your goals? But personally, I like it in the river, you know, because it sort of sorts a few out, drags a few people in, they get wet, they get cold, and then when you get them out, if you are looking for a break, you know, you've slowed a lot of people down. But I mean, the game is just getting so big, you know. I mean, I don't know whether you saw it, Tim, the aerial photograph on Tuesday.
Shocking, isn't it, really?
It's just unbelievable. I mean,
do you think that's had a negative impact on it, the size of it, from a running point of view?
Personally, yes, because obviously you cannot get through the crowd. No way, you know. And I mean, obviously there's been a lot of damage done this time,
yes,
which is a shame. I do agree that the game, you know, you've got to play as hard as you possibly can, but I just feel for the committees at the moment, because you know, like the main committee, how I see it, they put the game on for us. The players committee police the players, and hopefully that everybody stays safe and we have a good game. But you know, when you think on Tuesday where the hug went, it just destroyed everything.
Whatever was in its path.
In its path.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know John Tomlinson, Harry, Alge, you know, a lot of the older people and the marshals, you know, the marshals do a fantastic job with just trying to keep them away from cars and things. And, you know, it just struggle a bit, but I don't know, I'm sure, I mean, the players committee are going to have to work hard in getting something through to the players, because it's not, in my eye, I mean, I might be speaking out of turn now, it's not the money side, because we can raise money, you know, quite easily. I'm sure if everybody who was on Shawcroft on Tuesday chucked a fiver in a bucket,
yes,
you know, there'd be a lot of money there. But as you know, Tim, probably over the years, my little bit that I try to put back to Shrovetide is I have a good relationship with the landowners. We've been repairing fences and things for years and years.
People probably don't realise that, do they?
And it's just that I feel that money, I know this is not an encouragement to people go out and trash something, but what I'm saying, money will fix things. But if we upset the people where we play, and they turn around to us and say, look, we don't want you to play in this certain area, that will affect Shrovetide.
Absolutely, big time.
I looked, I said, I don't know what happened years ago when the hospital, because we can't play in the hospital, can we now?
No, that's forbidden.
I can't remember, but on Tuesday, obviously the Downers have got their lads set out on Berners Close. We got our lads set out the other way, and I'm sure if that was a play area, that ball would have been banged at Clifton.
Right.
And for me, that's a shame. But obviously these places get taken out of play. Yes. Because of, you know, you can't have the hub in there with all the cars and everything.
Absolutely, no.
So.
Yeah. So do you have any Downard friends that you would like to goal a ball?
Yeah. There's one in particular. I don't know whether I can say his name. Can I say his name?
Of course you can, yeah.
I mean, John Ford.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's quite nice when Upwards nominate Downers and vice versa.
John Ford, for me, you know, I've played rugby with him. I've worked with him. He's passionate about Shrovetide. He trains, he's strong. He's good in the hug. He's good out the hug, you know, and I would like to see him score a Shrovetide ball. You know, whether it'll happen or not, I don't know, but, you know.
It's all in the lap of the gods.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of them, isn't it?
We're always asking for good stories. What can you pluck a story out of Shrovetide that sticks in your mind? One that sticks in your mind, maybe.
Yeah. One story was on Mark Spencer's ball. Mick had done his magic.
That was 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah.
Mick had done his magic and got the ball to where we said we was going. And then when we got up there was Dave Callas, Rob Godfrey, Terry Brown, Doctor, Wayne Lehman, myself, and then Mick come. And anyway, Rob and Callas said that I think we should have a draw up the field to put Wayne and Doctor in, because they was the only two that hadn't got balls up there. So they were a little bit of a draw and whatever. Doctor won the draw. Wayne spat the dummy.
Oh,
bless him, as he does.
Yeah.
So anyway, off we going off down towards the goal, and Callas and Rob and Terry and that ran off down to the goal to tell them what was happening, where we was coming. And so it only left me, Wayne and Mick. And as we was going down, we spotted Nick Tompkinson, bless him, he's no longer with us. So Mick says he was going to go and have a word with him and just say, look, you know, keep out the way. So it left me and Wayne. And as we were walking down the field, because we wasn't running, I don't think, we might have been running a little bit, and we come up to this field, and we got to this edge, I got the ball up my jumper, Paddy Kerr was on the other side of the edge, literally 3 foot away from me. So I straight away I says, "Hey, Paddy, have you seen it?" He says, no. Where have you just come from? I've come from up there. Oh, have you seen a gap? He says, no, I've not seen a gap. So where are you going to now, Paddy? I'm going to stand in that gap. Oh, well, we'll go up there in that gap and go down the field. And literally, one of the best down runners, and we was 3 foot away with him, with a ball up my jumper. And me and Wayne just walked off, and we walked down to the others and met them and passed them the ball.
Amazing.
Quite funny.
So on the back of this year's play, obviously, it was quite, I don't know how you felt, George, but it was quite a shock in some ways to hear the chairman on the Wednesday on the plinth say that about the state of the damage this year, and that they could stop it.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
To be honest, as an older player and that, you know, obviously when you're older you think about things more and you try to do things to protect the game. You know, you can do thousands and thousands of good things through the year, and then a couple of silly bad things will give us a bit of bad press. So to be fair, I could see where they was coming from, because obviously if, as players, if we're not listening, then we need to listen.
Yes.
I think when we go into Shrovetide next year, we need to sort something out so that we could. You still got to play hard.
Yes,
because
but learn from what's
happened. I mean the lads, you know, from the players committee, we put the park and ride on. You know, they've got all of those cars, and I don't know whether you heard, Tim, on the Tuesday, they had to extend the car park.
I did hear, George. Yeah, it was full, wasn't it?
You know, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? You know, what had happened if we got the ball up on the aerodrome?
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. What do you think, Archie? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? All these people coming.
I don't know. I think if they're here because they think it's a free-for-all, or because they think it's a big, you know, beer festival, then no. But if they're here generally for Shrovetide and generally because they know what it's about and they know not to mess about with it, you know, then it's possibly, you know, come by all means, just don't. And what I don't like is how people get really close. You see, I was trying to do a bit of a play this year, and when there were times where I thought I could have played, I couldn't get to the hook because of the amount of
there's a lot
people.
of people.
And I noticed this time, Archie, and I wasn't the only one. There was quite a few said that the people who came from out of town, where normally they'll come and support the pubs, let's say, so, you know, you take that on the chin because they're having a hard time, aren't they, at the moment? You know, let them put some money into the town and help the town, blah, 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 blah. But this time they seem to be more involved. They seem to be close and, you know, getting in the way, let's say.
On the Tuesday, we were just been doing some filming, hadn't we, Arch? And there was a double-decker bus came into the bus station, and there was maybe 100 people got off it, and there weren't people kitted out to watch or play Shrovetide.
They weren't hard men like the Shrovetide.
No, there were lots of men and women, but they're all in quilted jackets and tweed coats, and they'd all got bottles of wine, and they were supping before they'd even got here.
There were people with like cowboy hats on,
and things like that.
What are you doing?
And I just thought, what, we don't need this. You know, please don't come to Shrovetide.
Wouldn't it be nice
for those sort of things?
Wouldn't it be nice, Tim, if we advertised Shrovetide on a certain date? And then we played it a week later.
Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that. Let's
really funny.
Let's forge the date for next year.
Throw a ball up on Shawcroft, all agree to play with it for 20 minutes and then put the ball back.
Yeah,
or just goal it and then say the game's over.
Something like that, and then play properly the week after.
Now you've got your lovely ball here in front of you, George. You want to just tell us a little bit about what you've had painted on it?
Yeah. On this side of it, I've got a Montbéliard bull. We was the first people to bring Montbéliards into the country.
Wow.
We looked at how the milk job was going, the high protein, big in butter fat, which you got more money for. There was an hardy cow. They grazed when it was raining, not like the modern cows that we have in this country.
Yeah.
So we imported him, took semen off him, so he's gone off and his semen has gone off and
Populated.
used popularly, on many. So that's that part of the farming, and then I've got the fast track there. My dad surprised me by buying me a fast track.
Wow.
In '97.
Yeah.
And I used to spend hours and hours and hours on that, day and night for bloody weeks on end, which I get an headache thinking about driving a tractor now. And then on the other side, obviously I'm into my motor racing. That was the first car I ever owned. It was a 1980.
I didn't know you'd owned some of these.
Yeah, so I started off in the early 90s racing a 1980 car.
Right.
And then in 94, 93 I think it was, I bought a Modena former Ford, which was a 1990, so
amazing.
I was racing.
So is 63 your number?
No, well, 63 was on the car.
When
Honestly,
you got it, okay.
He put that on, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's just when you apply for your competition licence, they give you a number.
I get you.
And it was 63. Martin Ellaby did say it was the year I was born, but I'm not quite as old as him.
Good on Martin.
And then obviously we've got the Union Jack, the flag, and then on the front it was scored by me in 1998 on the 25th of Feb at Sturston, 1998. Got a picture on there. I mean, there's some, if you can spot them out, there's some, you know,
some
legends of players there,
including you,
on the ball. No,
including yourself.
I'm not a legend, Arch. I'm just nowhere near a legend.
Everybody's a legend who plays shrovetide, mate.
Well,
and you're certainly a legend when you goal the ball.
I don't know. I was very lucky. And then on this side, it was turned up by Chris Trafford.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of work for Chris, to be fair. And he reminds me every year when I see him, you've still got my ball.
Yeah.
And we've got the crown on it.
The old crown.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But I remember a record as well that when you goaled that, like this year's Wednesday, the paint had quite stayed on it, hadn't it?
Yes.
And obviously you goaled yours later.
Yes, the paint, it was completely, I've got a picture, you know, it was fully painted. And at the time, I didn't want to paint it because everything was on the ball that I was into, you know, because Chris was into his
Lego
shooting, cockerels,
yeah.
and he was into his shooting and fishing and his Chevrolet cow and everything.
Yeah,
so
everything.
I said I was leaving it, and then it seemed to be that whether there was a bit of pressure on then to paint your balls.
Right. Doesn't seem like that now, though, does it?
No,
people don't seem to do them at
a
all.
lot of people seem to leave them how they've played, which I can see why. But then sometimes when you look at a brown ball, you think, whose is that ball?
Yeah, you don't know. I've had this year. I've been looking at one or two in pubs and things, and I've gone, whose is that? So, yeah, I suppose traditions and things around the games change, don't they?
Yeah, massively.
So, George, we always end up this way. Here is the camera. You've got a shrovetide audience out there of people who follow these podcasts. What would you like to say to everybody who's watching your interview today?
Please, please, please look after this game, because we have to do everything. It's not just about putting a pound in a pot or collecting a bit of money. We need to protect this game. Whichever way we can do, whatever help we can have, we need to protect it. And most of all, when you do play shrovetide, enjoy it.
Absolutely.
On you uppers!
There's a town still plays this glorious game, though 'tis but a little spot, and year by year the contest fought from the field that's called Shawcroft. Then friend meets friend in friendly strife, the leather fort again, and they play the game right manfully in snow, sunshine, or rain.